Now, let's get back to the other issue of the day, and that is, of course, the net zero by 2050 roadmap, the plan that was unveiled by the Prime Minister today. And his counterpart in the UK, Boris Johnson, who's looking forward to welcoming everyone in Glasgow next week, well, he was pretty pleased with the news from Australia. Have a look.
Now, that was actually very difficult for Australia because Australia is very heavily dependent on coal, on lots of carbon producing industries, and they've done a heroic thing, the Australians, in getting to that commitment.
There you go, a heroic effort to make the commitment that all these other European nations are making. Here's what Scott Morrison said about it.
Boris understands Australia. He understands that this is a different challenge for Australia than to other countries. And so he understands the significance of this. And he and I have discussed it on many occasions and at length. And so he understands that this is an important decision for Australia in making our contribution and doing the right thing for our country first. And he understands we're making this decision in our national interest.
There you go. Now, if you missed the top of the program, I sort of went through the broad outline of the Prime Minister's broad outline. The plan is pretty vague. It says there's going to be some new technology to do this, and then later on there'll be some new technology to do that. And later on at the end, we'll get the last bit of the emissions reductions with some yet to be invented technology. And I suggested it sounded a little bit like this from Monty Python.
Just think you, sir, there, and the horns shall be on the head.
Hebediah, his servants, there shall in that time be rumours of things going astray, and there shall be a great confusion as to where things really are, and nobody will really know where lieth those little things with a sort of raffia work base that has an attachment. At this time, a friend shall lose his friend's hammer, and the young shall not know where lie the things possessed by their fathers that their fathers put there only just the night before.
My 7-year-old lost his hammer on the weekend. Maybe it was an omen. Perin Davey is a national senator for New South Wales. Thanks for joining us, Perin. I don't know whether you're a Monty Python fan, but this plan, this net zero by 2050 roadmap, it's bloody vague, isn't it?
Look, there's a lot of people focusing on the vagueness. I personally appreciate a little bit of flexibility because we don't know what's coming around the corner. You know, imagine if we had have locked in computer technology when, you know, the Enigma machine was the first computer, and we would all need studios larger than the one I'm sitting in now just to house our desktop computers. We need room to be able to adopt modern technologies as they're invented, to be able to scale up current technologies as the prices come down. So I'm not worried about a little bit of vagary. What I was concerned about was jobs and making sure that our existing jobs and industries are protected while we move on into the future and while we develop those existing industries, new industries, and adopt new technologies.
Look, I think you're right. You can't help but be vague, and that's why I reckon it bells the cat today. I've been saying for ages on this show, it is impossible to get to net zero on current technology. That's what the experts tell us. So if you're going to announce a plan now for 2050, you have to include stuff that's not invented yet, which just underlines how stupid it is. Are you worried that the Nationals have torn themselves apart over such a meaningless pledge?
No, I'm not. I'm actually very, very happy with what the Nationals have done. We've put the regions front and centre of this plan. We've absolutely got a commitment from the government that we will not be shutting down our coal industry. The Greens have already lodged their bill in the House of Representatives that they want to phase out coal completely. We're not accepting that. We're protecting our coal industry while ever there's market demand for coal. We're protecting our other resources and heavy industries while ever there's market demand. And let's face it, demand for lithium is going to increase. Demand for our uranium is going to increase. We power the world. Our coal and our uranium powers the world, even if we don't use it here.
Exactly. This is the point, though. This is the point. Over decades to come, we're not going to use our uranium or our coal or our gas. Everyone else can use it.
Well, this is the thing, and this is what our scope for new technologies leaves the door open to adopt those new small modular nuclear reactors. I watched your documentary the other week on going nuclear. It was a fantastic piece of television, and that's exactly the conversation we need to have, because that is how we will reach net zero, by adopting the new technologies as they come up.
It must have been a long day, Perin, because that was just last night, not the other week. But thanks very much for watching, and I appreciate your company. Perin Davey there, Nationals Senator for New South Wales.